equipment. As turnover happens, management changes, no one knows the state of their equipment. It shouldn't come down to walking someone that's not food service, line by line, equipment by equipment, and saying this one sucks, this one sucks, this one's down, this one's down. It shouldn't get to that point. There needs to be
Right.
more proactiveness.
Welcome to another Culinary 360 podcast. I'm Chef Robert.
Oh, this whiskey's strong today.
Wow.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Chef Ryan.
And I'm Chef Luke.
And on today's podcast, we're really excited to have Joshua Miller. He's a food service consultant with Remarkable Food Academics. Actually, it's his company. We're going to hear how he started in fast food, went on to went to culinary school, and then actually got into contract management with university food service. Through that, he kind of sensed a need for some of the things that are missing in the industry and formed Remarkable Academic Foods, where he is involved with training, evaluations, different aspects of planning, and helping identify and solve challenges within kitchens. It's actually led to doing the same thing for other industries. So let's hear it straight from Josh. So, Josh, welcome.
Yeah. Welcome.
Welcome
Hey.
to the Culinary 360 podcast.
This is a great welcome so far.
I know a little bit about you because I've been on your podcast,
Yeah.
and we should get to that at some point. But you've actually got a culinary background. Tell us a little bit about what got you into culinary and about your culinary background,
Yeah.
and then we can segue into what you're doing now.
Looking sharp, by the way.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. That's it. Like I said, I don't wear it enough. And yeah.
You look so handsome and strong.
It's the hair, dude. Totally the hair. So that's actually a great, easy question for me because I was super fortunate in picking my industry that I wanted to get into as a career. Very first thing I cooked was scrambled eggs.
Nice.
Breakfast was like my favorite meal of the day by far. My grandmother would make it, scrambled eggs, cream of wheat, and all this other stuff. Very basic, but like I would fake sick to stay home from school from like kindergarten and stuff. Just so that because she came over every day and like cooked dinner while my parents worked and we all came home to eat her dinner. So I
Nice.
tried to sneak in a couple extra
Yeah.
breakfasts during the week and be like, oh,
Yeah.
I promise you, I actually took a thermometer and did the light bulb thing one time and it did not work. Needless to say, that shows you how much I love that meal. But anyway, so she got, really sick and she wasn't able to cook again. But that weekend, after she got sick, she was in the hospital and I went up to my mom. I was like, can I make scrambled eggs? I've watched her do it like dozens of times. And I'm like, I got this. And she's like, yeah, go ahead, try it out. So I did it, scrambled eggs, cast iron skillet, just like I watched her do so many times. And while I'm cooking those scrambled eggs, my mom comes in to check on me. She's like, how's it going? I look up at her and I'm like, I want to be a chef. And like, that was the destiny. Like it never changed, never went away from that. And all my family was like,
That's awesome.
oh, you said cop, paramedic, attorney. And they were like, this is just going to change. It never altered.
That's awesome.
This was meant to be. So it's super easy for me. And I went to the Art Institute of Pittsburgh as soon as I got out of high school, like literally 3 months. I graduated and I moved. No, actually, not even 3 months. I'm sorry. 2 weeks after I graduated high school, I started the first trimester at culinary school.
Nice. That's awesome.
Did you cook while you were going to school, or what happened after school then?
Oh, first job was TGI Fridays.
Okay.
There you go.
And that was intentional. I was like, I need to understand the mechanics and the flow of the kitchen, right? I don't want to
Mhm.
get
Mhm.
into the other, the high end stuff, but my passion was high end. So I stayed there for 8 months or something like that. And then one of my student friends was like, yo, come to this restaurant. We've had, and he's like, and this is not a lie. We've had over 40 plus cooks turnover in the past 2 months. Like we can't keep
Damn.
anybody. And I was like,
Whoa.
sure, sign me up.
That sounds like my dream job.
I got this.
But oh my goodness, it was not easy to say the least. I
Mhm.
mean, that chef was scary, but he knew his stuff. He was in Michelin star restaurants. He went away from that to have a family. Like he had a family, had kids, so he went, non-Michelin star restaurants, and he was part of this restaurant group. And Man, let me tell you, the amount of mentorship, he has no idea to this day. I feel like how much impact he had on me as a professional and as a person, just because it just changed. Like things clicked for me in that restaurant. I stuck through all the yelling and
Okay.
saw
Uh-huh.
things get thrown, but I stuck through it. Was able to hit up all the stations throughout that restaurant at least once, and stay at two garde manger stations. And I started off at the first one for a few months, but it was such a great experience.
Good for you.
And then after that, I got into the non-commercial space, college, university, food service, and that the loans started kicking in. So I was like, I need a little
Yeah.
bit more pay. Uh,
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you make so
but
much money in fine dining.
Yeah.
All
yeah,
those
yeah.
extra hours you work for free and
Oh my goodness! Like I so thought that I was going to be like my whole pretty much culinary school experience was revolved around fine dining. Like I was
Right.
super hyper focused on it, but then you graduate and see those loan amounts, and it's like
Uh-huh.
I can't keep it.
Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, quality of life. I mean, it's important, right? I mean, you still have to think about yourself and your own, health and well-being, and if I mean, I think, we were probably all of us on this call probably in a similar space at some point in our careers. But yeah, I mean, you come to a realization that it's not the world is bigger than that, right? There's so many different opportunities that can exist within this industry, and that's just one of them.
I didn't know it even existed. I
Mhm.
wasn't looking for the job. It was a portfolio showing, and the district chef saw my portfolio and said, "Come check out college university." And I was like, "What?" And I was like, "I'll never say no to a conversation." But once I
Right?
saw what they were doing, I was like, "Oh, this is like legit."
Yeah.
So yeah, totally eye opening.
Definitely. I think that's really cool that you started off at like a TGI Fridays or like a thing like that. It was really interesting when I was in high school. My English teacher actually was like, everybody in here needs to work at like a Chili's or a TGI Friday or a
Uh-huh.
McDonald's to understand actual work experience before you go into anything else.
Yes,
Because if you don't get that and the busyness of it and honestly the consistency of it too,
right.
you won't understand like other job forces, right? Like,
exactly.
Yeah, there's a corporate structure that, yeah, is fundamental.
yeah, like anybody getting into culinary, like start off at a McDonald's or fucking Taco Bell or something like that, or a TGI Fridays or Chili's, because you learn that rhythm of what a restaurant could actually be, right?
Right.
And then go from there and learn the fine dining and all this other crap that you need to do to be a chef.
For
Mhm.
sure, for sure. I totally forgot that we can drop f bombs on here.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm even more excited
It's
now.
only me. I'm only allowed to do it, dude. I'm sorry.
sorry.
You can't. You can't.
But I to tag on to what Ryan said. So I mean, I've I have that same exact thought. I've actually I have two kids, and I've talked to both of them about, like, I don't necessarily think they need to have this as their career, but I do think it's an important part of just learning to be, a productive human, to go and work in a restaurant and experience what that's like. I my first like kitchen job ever was at a Red Lobster, and I was a dishwasher to start. So yeah, it was it was rough.
Nice,
I'm not
nice.
gonna
Yeah,
lie.
for sure. And I started off as a fry cook, but I even volunteered for dish shifts.
Mhm.
Like I didn't care. I was like, I'll hit any station. That's actually funny. So there was this leadership summit for people in the food service industry the other day, and one of the speakers brought up the fact, I think it was Starbucks, Walmart, and there was one major organization. All those CEOs started in the food service industry.
Wow.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, and you need to work every station because you need to know when you get into a management role how that person who's working that station feels and how you should be treating them because how were you treated when you were in that station? Plus, you need to know how that station works and functions so that if it's not functioning the correct way, you know how to mentor that person who's there
Hmm.
and explain it articulately, what's not happening that's right and how to fix that.
Exactly. It's like, and that's really any industry, right? You want your boss to have been in your shoes.
Yeah, 100%.
I know it works good for us, and I mean, maybe this is a transition into your consulting, but, for us, walking into a kitchen, we need to know how the flow of that kitchen works so that we can spot bottlenecks and spot things to talk about with the people who are making the purchasing decisions, with the cooks, with the chefs, and let them know that we understand what's going on and that
Hmm.
we're actually offering up a good equipment solution to solve that challenge that's happening.
Right.
And so in a way, we kind of walk in as consultants, even though we're talking about the way the equipment works and trying to, get them to understand why this equipment is different or better. But so you were in the university there, and then what did you do after that? And how did you get into your role of being, you've got your consultant business. And so tell us a little bit about what you're doing there and how that started.
Yeah. So after the college university dining, I actually stayed with the same family owned, largest family owned food service management company in the country. Actually, I stayed with them for bulk of my career, and
Who
I
is
was
that?
able to ABI Food Systems.
Hmm.
And so, with that said, I was able to go from one university. I started off sous chef, then catering, got promoted to catering executive chef at a bigger college, transition to New York. From there, I was able to shortly get the role of a culinary director.
Yeah.
When you're with a company, you have to kind of go at their pace, right? So that's every organization. That's nothing against them. That's every organization out there that's a food service management company, and or even just one institution, right? And I was like, I want to get out there and get after these solutions, right, at a faster pace. And so it was like, well, let's try this because this is a way where obviously you're not going to work with a consultant if you don't want change, right? Like
Hmm.
you're not going to hire someone to help make change and then say no, don't help make change. So I decided to break out and try this, and so far, knock on wood, everything's going well. We hitting the 2 year mark this summer, and my
Nice.
wife is helping me out.
Congratulations.
And
Awesome.
she's the yin to my yang. We're
Uh-huh.
very people don't get it until they actually get both of us in the room. Like I can tell you all day long our personalities and also the way we work. Like we actually met at a college university dining program. I was the culinary and she was the administrative, resident director for the food service program. She was able to grow to that position, and so opposite ends of what it takes to manage that program. And when you put that and our personalities yin and yang together, people like get it within 5 minutes of speaking with us. Like, oh, we get it now. You're yin and yang.
Yeah.
Your strengths are his weaknesses, and vice versa.
Uh-huh.
I mean, 2 years, what a milestone for you. Like, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's big.
So, how did you build your business? Like, were you going and doing like groundwork and like, I know this sounds weird, but like door to door sales type thing of like, hey,
Oh
do you
man,
guys need help? Or like, how did you grow that to be successful with the 2 years?
it's I did not do it the way that I would advise anyone to. I'll start there. So one unique thing about me is I was never on social media,
Wow.
and like I had Instagram account logged in like maybe 15 times.
Uh-huh.
Facebook logged in like twice. Now, I was not interested in it. And LinkedIn kind of was a part of that. I think I had like 50 connections or something like that when I decided to break off and do this. So I sucked at networking and for some strange reason, I was like, oh, I can grow a network like, fast enough. And it was a lot slower than I thought. Everything in business, as they, saying is like it takes 4 times longer than the owner thinks it's going to take. And that's
Hmm.
so true.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I did not have a network. So just traditional LinkedIn, just trying to reach out, connect with people, and also going to industry shows. That was every School Nutrition Association, NACUFs, getting involved in the allergy menu trendful team. They had a
Hmm.
conference that they had come up, and just really just going from conference to conference to conference. That first year and really building up my network. And I was even able to get a couple of speaking engagements, nothing like main stage or anything, but that really helped. I noticed to catapult me in my presence and that I'm available to help. And then did some booths as well at conferences. So there was some direct stuff as well, some direct marketing. Just kind of put my name out there, like mailers. Here we are. This is things we can do, and a mixed bag of all of that. But I would say nothing replaces the networking side of things, which
Yeah.
is part of
Uh-huh.
the reason Food Service Consultant Society International. I'm a member of that organization, and I'm on the also part of the EPIC community, Emerging Professionals in Consulting that's in that, which is 40 and under consultants. And so nothing replaces networking so far in this industry whatsoever. That's what I've noticed. So that is what I credit to being able to hit this 2 year mark and looking at. I always say things are scary good and scary bad at the same time. Like just looking down the projects list and the potential projects and just being like fear of failure and fear of how to handle success.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because as things grow and things, projects grow, it's just like yeah, that's constantly in my mind.
I was reading over your bio that you sent to us and stuff like that, and you're part of so many organizations. And
Yeah.
that like, I mean, I have a hard time doing my job, and I'm like,
We all know that.
how do you shut up?
Don't
And,
respond to that, Robert.
everybody, shush. But like, I mean, your schedule has to be crazy, especially with like
Yeah.
the work that you're doing, and then you're still going out there with all these organizations. So you must be going to meetings and still networking and growing and growing and growing. Like,
Yeah.
how do you manage your time like that?
Yeah, that's literally within even these past few weeks here. It's just like I've started deeming this the year 2025 as the year of time management and workload management growth,
Hmm.
because it's one of those things where it's like there's so many things coming at me, and I really have to start prioritizing my time
Hmm.
because there's only so much that you can do in 24 hours and so much you can do in 7 days a week because you still got to sleep in,
Yeah.
consider family and all that other stuff as much as you
Right.
can fit that in. So I definitely don't have a great answer for that yet because I'm learning.
Right.
Obviously, I'm doing it good enough to keep doing good at my job. It was great to hear, from a client yesterday, a meeting for them to say that I'm killing it. Right. So it's like,
Yeah.
boom, like I actually feel that grateful, that appreciation, and saying, "All right, I must be doing something right. I don't know what it is, but."
Isn't that great? Especially like being a chef, your anxiety is always like up
Oh
here.
yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And somebody's like, "Oh, you're doing great," and you're like, "Oh, thank God,
Yeah.
finally."
I have not completely fucked this up. It's all right.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, it's definitely and that's the other piece, right? Because in this role, it's a little bit different because you don't get that as much as you do in working in the food service industry of
Right.
like thank you.
Mhm.
So it's
Hmm.
it's a little bit different in how they come along. So yeah, that's definitely a part of it for sure.
Yeah, I think as cooks, we somehow all cooks are kind of like their own worst critic. And I know speaking for myself, I get done with something and I look back and I'm like, shit, I could have done this better. I could have done that
Hmm.
better. I could have changed this, you know, but it all worked out. And probably the people that I was with or that I fed or whatever this was, they they didn't even notice that that didn't happen or something.
Yeah.
I had a person that I worked with many years ago, and I was beating myself up about something, and they kind of pointed that out to me. They're like, "No, I didn't notice that. They didn't notice it.
Right.
Get over it. Move on."
On to the next.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the other piece is I am my worst critic for sure. I'm like the person where things will change like the direction of the wind, just because I'm constantly looking for ways to do things better. From my personal perspective, from project perspectives, like it's just this, it can't get rid of it. Sometimes I wish I could hit pause on it.
Uh-huh.
um, but yeah, it's just constantly critiquing and figuring out how to do it better.
So, Josh, what are some of the things that your clients are hiring you to do?
Yeah, so that's actually really a great question because what it's happening today isn't what the original vision was
Ah,
technically
Huh.
when I started, right? So it's kind
okay.
of that forming to what the industry needs are because that's the other challenge when I started this is all right, what is needed to help the industry, right? It's not just
Hmm.
about bringing in, money to help with living expenses, right? I got to cover that.
Yeah.
But outside of that, it's like, what is it that the industry needs, right? Because I don't want to just do something just to do it. And so to start off, I fell in love with the whole concept of renovations and equipment with a capital project at a college where I was the executive chef and they obviously were investing in the main dining program and it was like awesome. I want to like know what's happening, because when I
Mhm.
was in
Yeah.
the roles where I didn't have a voice or understand or have time to focus on it, and you would see these decision makers come in, from corporate office or wherever, and or just a consultant that comes in and they didn't take the time to understand the operation, like you guys do, which is, again, on our podcast that we did together, Robert, which I praise you guys on, is you taking the time to do that is so important. But seeing those failures along the way, and I was like, oh wow, we're doing how much change? And you
Hmm.
guys are gonna wave a magic wand and we're gonna be stuck with the consequences? I was like, absolutely not. I actually, to this day, that the consultant on that project actually said to me, I hold the record for the most questions ever asked on a single project.
Yay!
Yeah, right. I picked up a this is how crazy I am. I picked up the textbook on design equipment layout, and kitchens for basically the food service industry. So kind of like high level, it's a textbook on design. And I picked
Mhm.
it up and I read it cover to cover, went through and did highlights because I was doing that with other types of books too. And
Hmm.
I just got sucked in and I loved it. And while I don't do design drawings, that's not my goal, but I do understand also the importance of the process of understanding that discovery phase of what are your needs.
Mhm.
It's
Right.
not just coming in for a couple hours and saying, yep, this is what you need, this is what you need. It's really looking at it from the programmatic standpoint. What are your goals? What are your concerns today? What can be improved on? And that takes time to understand their true needs and to give them holistic solutions, because coming in replacing equipment is half the battle.
Right.
That's not even considering the processes and the changes that happen in the background, which segues me into this piece of the training aspect, the onboarding aspect of things. So we started creating these videos
Hmm.
using AI illustrated speakers. And if you don't mind, I could actually share my screen here and do a
I
little
love
bit for
this.
you in a little
Yeah.
bit. But basically, what we noticed there's a need for is onboarding and training help in the industry. So many different ways. K-12, scratch cooking. How do we consider that? Not only is there infrastructure, do you have the refrigeration needed and all that to consider, but you also have, oh, we have to train. Oh, they're working with raw chicken for the first time, or even in college universities. Oh, we have hundreds of student workers, and we
Uh-huh.
have over 100 student managers. How do we train and get these people onboarded and comfortable in their positions faster and easier?
Yeah.
And I'll go and pull this up. I have this on silent. It's not really to show it in terms of the voices that are happening, but basically anything that you could think of that you can turn into a video. It's like a sophisticated PowerPoint presentation. Basically anything from food safety, sanitation, customer service, and even a handbook like onboarding. What are your policies and procedures that are for you? Because that's the other place that we found a need. Is like, cool, great, you have videos, but we want our own SOPs to be considered. We don't want just what's being general and plucked from out there in the world. So we found that gap of like, oh, people want this, they need it, and what's the easiest way to bring that to them? So we started playing around with this, and it actually turned out to be a really good solution. We rolled it out with the college university, and we're getting into it with some other programs, including school districts and even, which was not planned. This was definitely not in the plans, but food service management companies. Right? I did
Nice.
not
Okay.
think in my wildest dreams that within 2 years I would be working with a food service management company as a consultant.
Uh-huh.
Nonetheless, here I am, not just one, but even looking at a partnership with another one. And it's just like they see the value in this and they see a need. What's cool is it's transitioned into not just creating videos. Videos is only half the battle again too, right? So it's like every problem, every symptom has another symptom. I've been spending a lot of time, hours and hours and hours, doing one-on-one interviews with VPs, DEMs, and going out to the field and looking at operations and really understanding what is it that you need that can help set you up for success.
Hmm.
And that has been a passion project that I'm just loving, because it's just diving deeper into solutions that can be rolled out. So it's onboarding and training is way more than just videos.
Right.
And so getting into that side of things and being able to offer that solution has definitely been great. Again, it's a part of something bigger. Strategic planning can be focused on, very specific things like, oh,
Uh-huh.
sustainability, or oh, we need concept development. And, it can be very focused on that, but it can also be broader in terms of what is available to take advantage of opportunities for improvement.
Yeah, that's rad. That's super
Nice.
rad.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Thanks. Thanks.
We've talked to some other consultants, and it seems like the ongoing support and the ongoing training and all that is
Mhm.
something that's not isn't take isn't there isn't enough of that happening in our industry, and some people don't realize that there are people like you that can do that and offer these services
Mhm.
and bring them in and really help to either get them up and going or get them back on track.
Yes, for sure, for sure. And that goes into the tech side of things. I'm super tech forward in a lot of ways. And this is, again, this is only one piece. How are you going to deliver it? How are you going to make it frictionless for your team members? So getting into even understanding learning management systems. And I have, you'll see it even on my website, I love hyper collaboration, which is like just working with every discipline that has anything to do with food service and being open to work together for solutions. And
Mhm.
so, I'm very fortunate that I have a great network of other professionals and some of those other disciplines, including IT, and helping navigate these conversations because I'm not IT, right? But I can help guide very surface level conversations, but also help loop in those other disciplines that can dive even deeper into needs because often that is a big part of the industry as well. Because
Mhm.
technology, again, it's a tool, but it's nothing without someone to project management
Uh-huh.
it and implement it and be that internal champion. So that's where we fit in, where it's like we can be that fractional support to lift it and make sure that it's successful. Because that's the other way we see a lot of these programs fall through the
Mhm.
cracks of, oh, we have a trainer we hired 2 years ago, they've been stuck in a commissary.
Never actually been inside the kitchen.
Yeah, exactly. Or yeah, we have a trainer and it's a dual position role and it's like, yep, I haven't seen that succeed yet. It needs to be focused.
Right.
And other tech solutions as well, such as asset management. So this is me going on a tangent of equipment. You're
Mhm.
you come in, whether it's a beautiful kitchen or it's run down,
Mhm.
no one knows as turnover happens, management changes, all this stuff happens, the state of their equipment. It's just
Mhm.
broken. This one sucks, that one's broken. And then you have like decision makers that don't understand kitchen equipment. They have no transparency of seeing like, oh,
Right.
this oven has been down for 6 months out of the past 12, and we put this many thousands of dollars in it. And that's some of the stuff that we're also working with other tech companies and helping implement into operations as well because there it shouldn't come down to walking someone that's not food service line by line, equipment by equipment, and saying this one sucks, this one sucks, this one's down, this one's
Mhm.
down. It shouldn't get to that point. There needs to be
Right.
Right.
more proactiveness.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And, we find this all the time because we do these kitchen evaluations within our company
Hmm.
as a service to a lot of K-12 districts. And we'll go in there and be looking at the equipment and registering it and making, evaluating, what condition it's at through 1 through 5.
Yep.
And there's a lot of times that the food service manager at the, district level doesn't even know this stuff's happening because that word never gets from the kitchen manager up through the chain of command
Yeah.
that, oh, we're not using the range because this one burner doesn't work, or the tater tots, the kids don't like them because they're coming out soggy because the convection oven's fan isn't running right, or just
Yeah.
little things like that, and that can really affect stuff, but nobody knows that it's there.
Exactly. It definitely goes back to a lot of things that we've been talking about and how do we make that easier and prevent that from happening. So,
Yeah.
one of the ways that a lot of these tech tools are doing that is through something as simple as a QR code, right? You can
Okay.
have a QR code on each piece of equipment that's asset tagging it. You can scan it. Imagine a manager or sous chef or a director, someone just being able to go up to a piece of equipment, scan it, say what the malfunction is with it, and that automatically gets sent to your repair service company. You didn't have to go and walk over to your office, make a note, and then forget about it and come back to it later, 2 weeks down the road. Oh, yeah, I forgot to put a work order in. And wondering if they got the report on it and if they're tracking it.
Right.
It's just how do we prevent that from happening? Bring in these different essentially stakeholders, right? You have the kitchen people that are operating the kitchen, you have your facilities people, you have administration that's managing the budget. Because I guarantee you, when you go in and do assessments, they probably don't even have a capital budget yet. At
Right.
least not one that's measured off of facts, right? They're just
Right.
Yep.
guessing. Oh, just throwing a number.
Yep.
Yeah, well, sure, we'll put this much into it.
Uh-huh.
There's no actual management of the assets, and we got to do a better job at that because at the end of the day, going back to what you were saying, understanding what the cook goes through when that oven is down or that steamer is down
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
makes you really want to know more about how to prevent it.
Yeah. Well, I think we see this with, definitely with like the more complicated equipment, right? We see combi ovens and things like that coming with
Yeah.
QR codes like on them, like from the manufacturers.
Yep.
And a lot of that stuff is, it's tying to publicly available videos and training pieces. And, this is the proper way to clean this piece of equipment, or this is, how you write this program or whatever it is.
Yep.
But recently, I've definitely noticed with the schools that I work with, they're doing that and they're kind of creating their own videos. Very much like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And yeah, I wish more people would do that because it sounds like it's not overly complicated to get it, like, or at least it takes some effort. Don't get me wrong, right?
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, it takes some effort to create the videos and create whatever the support materials are that you want linked. But then, I mean, once it's done, oh my gosh, like the value there for the people that are standing there doing the work is kind of immeasurable. It
Yeah.
help people be more successful, right?
For sure.
That should be all of our goal.
And it's kind of like eliminating steps for that and like management of instead of like that line cook going up and being like, this isn't working. They could be like, why is this not working?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do the QR
Troubleshoot.
code and be like, oh, that's why.
That's
Yeah.
why. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
There you
like,
go.
and it just takes that step away of like, I got to go find the manager. I got to go to the manager. The manager's got to call the service. They got to do this. I got to stand here and
Yeah.
not cook for 8 hours and just, I don't
Right.
know, cut French fries by hand, I guess. But that's such like a brilliant idea of like eliminating that step of like, okay, what's going on
Mhm.
here? Done, done, done.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And look, you said it best. This is not rocket science. None of it
Mhm.
is. This is literally, and I explain this to even clients. Like, it's not me knowing something that you don't know or your team doesn't know. It's the time. It
Right.
takes time and effort to actually make it
Mhm.
lift it up and then actually keep it ongoing and maintained. So it's really what it boils down to. And no one has enough of that, right?
No, definitely not.
Not at all.
But to go back to, I don't want to say like all the way to the beginning of this piece that we've been talking about, but like, I love that, consultants like yourself, you have a unique opportunity in that you're in the beginning of this process, right? And you have the ability to, I guess, impregnate the concept that this type of support is needed after also, right? And like ongoing support is needed,
Yeah.
like you mentioned, turnover, right? Turnover is something that has existed in this industry, will continue to exist. I mean, it's intense turnover, right? And how do you manage, that changing scenery within all the kitchens and food service establishments?
Yeah.
But how do you support them and how make them successful? Because we all know one of the most expensive things about all of this management is that turnover and constantly retraining and training a new person and the process of hiring people and hiring
Mhm.
talent. I mean, it takes effort, it takes money and lots of time to do all of those things. So if you can have in the beginning of the process of designing the kitchen or, the what the flow is of that kitchen and what equipment is going to be needed, to then build into it this level of support, or maybe there's like a regular retraining of the equipment that needs to happen that just gets again built in the beginning of the process.
Yeah.
It gets rid of the time, right? Like there's a time that's associated with having to get those things set up and rediscovering that you need it even. um i i I've heard it now a couple times, again from you and then from some other people that Robert was talking with. Just this importance of that. Like I love this. I'm trying to stand at the top of the mountain and wave this flag like, hey, come on, guys, you're going to need this. Like,
Yeah.
whether you want to realize it or not, you're going to need this help and this support, and you're going to pay for it one way or another. Like, why not? Let's get it all now
Yeah.
and get it laid out so that you're planned out for the future of being successful in whatever it is you're doing. I
So
dig it.
true.
Well, here's an example of the lack of training in the industry. I'm a member on this Facebook group that's for K-12 kitchen managers.
hmm
I'm scrolling this morning, and well, the post is she just got a brand new dishwasher, and today's the first day using it. And she had her sheet trays in that sheet pan holder that slides into there, but they're laying on their side. And she's like, do the sheet trays go this way, or how does this work? No one showed her how to use her dishwasher, brand new
Wow.
dishwasher. Okay. And so then all these other kitchen people are sending pictures. So she put the sheet trays up, but find out this isn't one of those units that has the big high
It's
door.
not tall
Yeah.
enough. Oh,
It's not tall enough, so they won't fit in. So she's got them sideways, and they still don't fit because it's not a large enough machine to take the pans sideways. So then another person's posting a picture of a rack in there and only one sheet tray in on a big angle and only
Right.
being able to do one at a time. Okay.
Yep.
So first of all, lack of training. Second, whoever sold that dish machine didn't ask what they were going to do
Yes.
and sell the right dish machine with the high door so that the sheet trays would fit.
great.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So a lot of breakdowns, but it was great that the industry was there through Facebook community to help her out.
That is definitely awesome, and that's one of the things that I know that I definitely miss on the social media. Some of those cool things. I just do it really for focusing, right? Not I can't handle another distraction. That's really what it boils down to. But I mean, going back to earlier is better, right? You're going to pay for it one way or another, right? That's one thing that. So at the last FCSI symposium that came up, I was honored to be able to be on a panel with other consultants and other solution providers, and we talked about these solutions that we offer. It's not after the fact. You're all like, design is one piece.
Mhm.
There's things that can be set up to help set the client up for success in more ways than just the design. And so implementation earlier is better. Just
Mhm.
because imagine getting the keys to the kitchen right after a project and being like, cool. And now you have all this support that is helping to make sure you run smoothly.
Right.
That's where the goal is taking this.
Yeah, and it's just not like equipment and things like that. It's like the flow of how the line's going to work. Like, where's the hot well? Where's the cold well?
Yeah.
Is it going to be more beneficial of reaching this way or reaching this way? Like,
Yeah.
those little movements are like so important of like, oh, it's right here. It's right here.
Imagine being that person that gets hired to manage that kitchen, right? You walk in, they hand you the keys, and the system of support is already set up for you. Imagine how much more likely that person is to stay in that job for longer because they feel that support. They feel like they're set up. They feel like they're getting the resources they need to do their job. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've worked in a kitchen and you just constantly feel like, well, I don't have this, I don't have that, I need this, but this would make my life a lot easier if I had that. Like,
Yeah.
but here we are talking about this opportunity, and probably the cheapest way for these business owners to really provide this to their staff.
Yeah, definitely. And it's also train the trainer.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
You train these people to do it, and then they're training the other people to do it, and it just goes down the road that way, right? Like,
Uh-huh.
but you set them up for this success to where, like Luke said, they're going to be there for a while.
Yep.
So they might have the turnover, but this person's like, I had this great knowledge already. I can train these other people coming in now.
So true.
And I have this set up guideline of what I need to do.
Exactly. And that's what really was eye-opening when I started hearing the college university market asking for student manager, specifically calling out that position, student manager training. They're trying to train the trainers
Yeah.
of managing the rest of the student workforce. So yeah, you
And it
definitely
makes
hit
them excited. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like
right.
they're in there and they're like, oh, somebody gives a shit. I'm going to
Yeah.
learn something new and I'm going to grow from this. Like,
Yeah.
and it's not only like, oh, I'm learning about all this cooking, but it's like my mentor now. You're teaching
Yeah.
me life.
Yeah. There's an investment in them. Like I think, so one of my previous roles was as corporate chef for Red Robin, and we developed some internal programs that, I mean, nobody outside of the company would have ever seen, but where we were really investing in the cooks within the system, right? And like we even had this one event where we would bring them in. Like we flew in like 16 or a dozen cooks from across the country from all the different restaurants, and we taught them all sorts of things, not necessarily things that helped them do their job, but things just to really expand their knowledge. Like we taught them how to do R&D. Like what's the process of creating a menu item? Like they don't necessarily have to do that or know how to do that, but most of them found it really fascinating. And then, trying to teach them skills that, they can further their culinary careers if they wanted to, right? Like it was a way for us to invest in them as human beings and make them feel like they're loved and they're cared for and they're important, right? And I love that piece. I thought that was awesome. That was one of my favorite things that we did there. That was a good one.
And that goes to the 3 phases I like to tell people, which is you have onboarding, right? So onboarding is like the initial phase, first couple of weeks, maybe into the position, first few weeks. Training is like in the moment, like, oh, this is something new. How do I handle this? Or I'm cross training to another station. How do I, understand how to do this? But development, that's another piece. That's a whole nother level. And they kind of bleed together, but those are 3 very distinct phases. And that saying, I can't remember how it is in this very moment, but like, train them so that they, can leave you, but treat them so that they don't want to leave
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
company.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I always was like, train them to steal my job, steal my fucking job,
Yeah.
and I'll move up somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I'll go somewhere better. Or like, you know what I mean? Like, you want to learn this? Here it is. Go for it. I'm going to teach you everything I know so that you can be up here and I can be up here.
Yeah.
And I know that might sound selfish, but it's not at the same time, where it's like, steal my job. It makes me feel better that I'm improving you with
Right.
something in your life to grow and be excited about.
Yeah.
And then I'm excited because you're excited, and now I'm gone.
Yeah.
I'm retired on my yacht.
Yeah, there it is.
It's definitely I think important because you want to understand that this is a team effort, every aspect of this industry.
Yeah.
So people that are wanting to be selfish and not want to help people below them grow, whether it's, just someone that just got into the industry or someone that's been at that organization for a while, helping them grow is going to make your life easier, is going to make the team look better.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where it's so beneficial.
And I worked for a restaurant too, and we had our line cooks, we had the front of the house, right? But we were always like, we need to be married together. We can't run without the front. We can't run without the heart of the house, right?
Yeah.
So we would have a food runner position, and every line cook once a week had to run food to the tables. So they understood what it's like being in the front of the house as well.
Right.
And not just being in the back of the house. And then the servers had to do the same thing, where they had to run food. So they'd be like, wow, your job sucks back here. I can see why you hide in the walk-in and cry for hours.
Yeah.
But it was like that married of like, okay, I understand what you're going through, and I understand what you're going through. So instead of a server coming back and being like, where's my food? What's taking so long? They were like, hey guys, you all right? I see you guys are busy. You want some water?
Yeah.
You know, like, let me help you out so I can help myself out and make more money both ways, like,
right.
How am I going to make this run successful? And I've always liked that idea of marrying the front to the heart. So we're not battling. We're a team. Like the whole restaurant is one team.
Yeah. I tried that strategy. It didn't work because I waited too late.
It's so hard.
I went to the high-end restaurant, and then my internship was coming up, and I went to the executive chef. Hey, can I do my internship portion at front of the house? And I mean, he was like, absolutely not.
Yeah, they never let me serve either. They were like, no, Ryan, stay back there. Actually, put this mask on and hide over there. Cut this bread.
Yeah. I should have tried it at TGI Fridays.
Right.
I know you were on a panel at the last at NAFM with Brendan Wright, and he does something with software and kitchen layouts. Yeah. And I was talking to his wife the other day, and she told me that even though this started with kitchens, his biggest customer is not even in the food service industry.
Yes.
So just like you, there was a need for what he's doing and had to branch out.
Exactly, and that's been people have been saying the same thing to me. They're like, "Oh, dude, you can apply that to any industry or this industry," and I'm
Yeah.
just like, "Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna focus on food. I understand we can go other directions, but the focus is definitely food service industry. But also the other piece, is there's other functions that work at a lot of these organizations that are not food service that could use it,
Mhm.
the help, right? So
That's true. Yeah.
just because you're food service, there's a lot of other functionalities at your organization that can also use some of these tools. So again, just really focusing on helping out. Again, focusing on the food service piece and certain segments, but also being willing to help out in other segments and work with other consultants. I tell you what, being a part of FCSI has been hugely valuable to me. I mean, that organization is so awesome. They're so open and welcoming. It's truly everyone wanting to help the industry and help each other out, right? It's not like this isn't McDonald's, right? We're not trying to take over the food service industry and eat up the competition, right? There's
Yeah.
so much that the industry can use help on that it's just like everyone's willing to help each other out, right?
Hmm.
You're not gonna out consult someone out of the industry is what I heard on
Yeah.
one of their podcasts, on Tap Podcast. So yeah.
So when I worked for a manufacturer, before I started working for independent rep group, I had heard of, MOFSI, which is the organization for independent rep firms, and I was thinking that each rep firm would be very competitive, trying to fight for the lines, and not playing well in the sandbox with the other rep firms in town and all that. And all of a sudden, I went to a FCSI meeting. I've gone to a couple of rep firms that have different brands, and everybody's welcoming, and there is none of that. Everybody, they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll help you." They respect and they understand that, yeah, we we need to all play well together.
And that's only going to help the industry, right?
Right.
Because that what I feel like has been hindering to a lot of solutions, and like we all know, COVID really changed the landscape of tech and robotics in this industry, and it's going to continue to change. But there seemed like there was a lot more silos in all different levels of the industry, and not as much willing to work together, and even down to software. It's like, nope, we're proprietary. You can't do anything else with it. Closed sandbox, take it or leave it. And
Right.
everyone's just and even those are starting to open up. Like, yeah, you can pull information from this one to that one because that's the other thing, right? People
Uh-huh.
don't want another dashboard that's going to be super labor intensive. Oh,
Right.
dashboard for this, dashboard for that, sign in for this, sign in for that. Like, even that's part of the industry that's helping out. People are just so willing to help each other out. That's what's going to help us continue to move forward. And there's so much work to do, but let me tell you, there's a great vision of the future. And actually, in that panel discussion that we did, that Brennan Wright was on, and I'll give a shout out to Greg and from Pineapple Academy and Scott Rotano from Rotano Design Group. He did a great job moderating, and so with that, we did a little survey and we asked people, like, the consultants and the equipment reps in the room, and said, what do you think the future of technology and industry, what's going to be the biggest change maker in the next few years? And predictive operations management was the number one answer.
What does that mean?
So, predictive operations management is going into the space of, right now everything's reactive. So, manager walks in and you figure out like, oh, there was a note from last night. Oh, what does it say? Oh, we gotta, put the mats down. It's gonna be wet today. Oh, this person called out. Okay, I need to make sure that I, fill in that position. A lot of bits and pieces are happening, but right now it's very segmented of predictive analytics and turning that into actionable items for managers and for leaders to say, "Oh, you came in, boom, this is what happened last night. Boom, this is what is happening so far. You're seeing that, oh, there's 80% clock in of your workforce that was supposed to come in today. You need to prioritize getting these people that called in that can help out, right? Or, oh, you're ordering an inventory, like all that stuff is already in the menu production systems, but it's taking that kind of predictive stuff and taking it to the operational side of things, of running the kitchen and managing the kitchen. How do we get more predictive in that nature?
Right. Like I was first really introduced into like this concept when I got into the chain world, in that it was used for like scheduling purposes, right? Like you use a lot for that, and it's pulling data from, the same day a year ago, and then like what last week was like, and what last month was
Exactly.
like, and it's trying to put into account like holidays or things that may be happening, in your neck of the woods, and what have you. But yeah, I was kind of amazed. It was like, oh, at this hour you need to have this many people on, and
Yeah.
at this hour you need to cut 1.5 people. Like, I can't cut a half person. How does that work, right? Like,
Yeah.
You got to cut them in half, Luke, like a piece of cake.
I really teed that one up, didn't I? Tie one arm behind your back, and we'll pay you half wage.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's neat to see. Like, it's almost like cell phones are now today. Like, they're like a necessary part of life, right? And I feel like
Yeah.
when you're trying to manage any kind of food service, these things are becoming, if they haven't already, a necessary part of how you properly manage staff and in the kitchen, and even front of the house, and even outside of food service. Like, I could see this being very useful in production warehouse, any kind of
Yeah.
production facility,
Oh yeah.
because as the business ebbs and flows, and whatever, if there's some sort of tool that can be used, some AI that can be used to help predict what's going to happen, and kind of help answer some of the questions, it's less time you got to spend on it. I mean,
Yeah.
I can remember trying to fill out a schedule. God, I hated that.
Yeah.
God, I used to hate writing schedules.
You got people asking for time off, and like, oh, I can't be here until this time.
Mhm.
All of
Exactly.
that, right? And so if you could take, if you had a tool that you could just like throw all this data at, or have it collect the data for you even, and then help you generate those things, why not, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm here to tell you it's here. It's
Yeah.
already here. And
You're like, I'm
it-
on the screen right now.
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
Or is he? Maybe he's not.
Yeah. Dude. Wait, is this AI?
Yeah, right?
Are you even real?
Yeah.
That's the future too, for sure.
The Terminator said this was going to happen, so crap.
Believe it or not, we can actually take real life people and turn them into avatars for those training videos.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Josh, tell us a little bit how the podcast came about, and tell us a little bit more about the podcast, because this must have been one of your things of getting a little bit more social.
Yes. Yeah. So the podcast was just one of those things where it's like, I want to, again, understand all the solutions and possibilities that are out there for the food service industry. So it's not just me talking, it's bringing on other guests, just like you guys do. And whether it's a service, whether it's something that's a tangible product, whether it's food or equipment, or anything of those sorts, it's just like, let's bring a guest on every single episode and just talk about what it is that they're doing for the industry or can do for the industry, to help make it better. So it's really just educational in nature. It's called the 5 and 20 podcast, and it's revolved around the concept of at least 5 questions in 20 something minutes, just to again talk a high level about the solutions, because you can go on and on and on, and some topics might not warrant as long of a podcast as this, right? So I try to be equally equally limiting in nature for that side of things. But yeah, that's exactly what it's about. 5 and 20 podcast.
You structured really well. You've got really good questions. You research. You kept me on task and kept me on target.
No comment,
so you
Luke
didn't have
and
to
Ryan.
edit too much out.
My lips are sealed.
Their laughter said enough.
This has been really cool. It's been awesome to be able to learn a little bit more about you, Josh, and obviously what you do too, and your company, and your background. So definitely very cool. I look forward to seeing what you are doing, in the next couple months and years and stuff like that. I'm gonna be excited to follow you.
Thank you guys for having me. Like, I'm super excited again to be able to come on, wear my chef jacket, and
Yeah.
like super excited for this. You guys have no idea. So thank you for having me.
And look us up if you're doing a job in one of our markets.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely will. Yeah, I follow you guys too. Like, I think what you guys are doing is amazing, and absolutely will be connecting in person at some point, right? For sure.
Just remember, I'm off Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. So.
Heard.
Yes, chef.
I really enjoyed having Josh on the podcast today. I find it so interesting how the lack of social media he used to expand his business by just joining groups
Right.
was really, really cool to me. And I think that's just like, now I get why Robert wants me to be a part of all these fucking groups. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Jeez.
It's, I mean, the networking aspect of all of this, right? I mean, it being, able to connect to people and talk to people in person. I mean, it is huge, right? Like you think like even when we were all back in kitchens and restaurants, I mean, if you weren't speaking directly to somebody, it wasn't very impactful anyway.
right.
You were always going to have a hard time, getting your message across or getting people to do what you want them to do. Right. So I think same goes for all this. So that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree.
He's very knowledgeable, right? Like I think I was struck by just how knowledgeable he is and how easy it is to talk to him. Right. I can see how he would be an amazing teacher.
Yeah.
I think it's something that probably just runs naturally in him. The fact the ability to be able to just walk up to somebody, sort of like be smart enough to help them diagnose what the problems are that they're having and what they want to accomplish, and then to be able to just turn around and teach them how to do it once he figures out the solution. Like,
Yeah, he knows how to articulate the solution.
yeah, I thought that was cool.
Am I spinning?
Yes, you are. So hit subscribe and whatever else it is that we do.
But gotta unlock my card thing and.
Well, did you wear pants today?
No.
Oh shoot. Well, that's not good. Don't stand up.
I do. You know what one I really like though is the one that's like I'm like running away from it instead of spinning. And I also feel like if I do that, my stuff won't fall off and break.
You do you, man. I think I'm excited to see what you come up with today.
Let's go towards the pirate flag.
All right.
Thank you for listening. Click and subscribe.